screw it.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man. I'm a man.
Hey there, how's it going? Man, so Alex Murdaugh was found guilty. Found guilty. I haven't been covering that trial because I work in the day. So it's kind of hard to tune into a trial in the daytime. But man, just came in. Crazy stuff, isn't it? I don't know if all of you have been watching that, but yeah, that verdict just came in. I don't know about you, but keeping up with that, hey, what's up, Mazza? Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Appreciate that for sure. You know, I figure the insanity with trials like that, this is just my opinion in watching quite a bit of that trial. I think that he was guilty of a lot of things. He was guilty of a lot of things. But the one thing he wasn't guilty of by evidence, again, he could have definitely been guilty, but they didn't prove the case. The evidence wasn't there. They didn't present it. They presented a narrative, and a lot of times I think juries buy into the state presenting a case that, well, it's just not there. And it's a sad indictment of our legal system when you watch something and you think, man, they didn't make that case at all. And yet here we are, right? Here we are indeed. Wow, man, a bunch of gifted memberships came in. Thank you. Fallen Hero, thank you for the gifted membership too. So that's you. Mazza, thank you for that. Stacy D, also thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Stacy D, Mazza, Fallen Hero, and Bat Goat, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. So we have Bat Goat, Stacy D, Mazza, Fallen Hero, right up from Go. Thank you for that, man. Yeah, that verdict though, it just dropped in. I was like, dude, I can't. I was watching it, and then I thought, man, I would be streaming right against the verdict coming in. That's all good though. It's funny though. It's strange. Like the court cases have become this new. We've had a resurgence in them. At one time, I mean, we all find them interesting. I find I don't know if I like covering murder. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I really like the true crime. I like watching some of it and seeing how the legal system plays out. But uh, I find the accusation portion and the false accusation portion of things, specifically sex crimes or specific, again, someone falsely accusing. Now, you could make the case that the Murdoch, decision could be a false accusation too. You could look at anything as a potential false accusation, but yeah, I find this specific type of culture fascinating. Still, phew, it's weird. It's strange to think. What's up, Sandy? Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships as well. Appreciate that. Thank you, Sandy. That's Sandy Bad Goat. Sandy Bad Goat. Stacy, Fallen Hero, Mazza, wow, and Dreadnought. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Damn, that's crazy. Thank you for that. Again, there's an army of you. Appreciate that for sure. And John, too. Thanks for the 5. Hey there, Meme Terrorist is still the most awesome title you could ever get. Indeed, I like that title role. So I was watching Rekieta Law last night. I want to mention this because I was like, what the hell's going on? I don't know how many of you catch Rekieta Law at night, but I was watching it and they were talking about drama. We're talking about copyright striking. And I thought, I don't even understand what the hell's going on with that stuff. Now I've been out of pocket a little bit, I guess is a good way to say that. I've been out of sorts, so I haven't kept up with everything that's gone on with that. So I don't have an opinion pro or con on something I am not educated on. I do say that I have a general statement though on something, and my report. If you're ever curious about a creator, there's a little feature. Give me 1 second. I'll show you something interesting. A lot of people don't know exists. 1 second here. Let's see. I'm pulling up something real fast. So on YouTube, you can actually find out whether creators that you follow. Again, they could use sock accounts to do this, but they won't have the sway of their main channels. But you can actually find out if a creator that you follow is a false flagging piece of crap. And the way that you do it is you have them pull up their report history. There is a link to it. It's youtube.com/report history. Now, I haven't reported anything since 2019. And that was a joke. Mr. Medicare had a video that he put up, and he was like, "Report this video, see what happens." And thousands of people did. And I was like, "Oh, that'd be funny. Let's see what happens." And I've reported things stealing reviews, I've had product reviews way back when, but I haven't reported anything since 2019. Even things that maybe I shouldn't, because that's a weird road to go down for me. So when people have been asking me about my stance on reporting, well, you can see what my stance is on reporting. Again, this is on the year, for 1 year, and well, I don't believe in flagging. Now, again, I don't know the particulars of the situation people are talking about, so I can't give you any. And it sounds, I don't know. See, there's a fine line between drama and a real problem. There's also, you're going to pick up, I think is a blanket statement. You're going to pick up detractor channels. Some channels, they're going to hate you. They're going to hate you. They're going to follow you. I had one with comics that they made the craziest freaking videos about me all the time. And yeah, you know what I did? I didn't watch their content. Because watching that content will make you crazy. You will focus you on the negatives when there's a lot of positives that failed. So I just don't tune into detractor channels, period. Now, I also don't flag people mirroring anything that I say. I don't even check what, hey, I get a report of it because YouTube tells me, but I don't even check what people mirror. So if there's something that you mirror out of a live stream, like I don't care. If you take a whole live stream, I don't particularly care. I mean, yeah, most people ask if they're archiving, which is nice, but they don't have to. I mean, it's been a pretty good stance on it. But anyway, Liz, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships as well. Good Lord. Was it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30? There's 30 right there. Mark Norman, also, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Wow. And Night Owl, also thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. So it's like Night Owl, Mark Norman, Liz, Dreadnought. Man, it's crazy. Sandy, Bat Goat. I'm gonna miss somebody. Fallen Hero, Stacy D, and Mazza. I will never remember those again. I'm sorry. I can't remember them from memory, and they'll disappear. Sandy, thanks for the 5. We'll be driving across the entire state of Tennessee on March the 8th. We'll wave to you from the highway. Well, that's awesome. I'll wave to you back and wave to you mentally. Ooh. But yeah, like I said, I don't. I'm reading the chat on that because I don't particularly. I've gotten a lot of emails about 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 whatever's going on with all of that, and like I said, I am not. I'm not trying to avoid a subject because I have a pretty solid stance on the way that I go with stuff. I also there was discussion about leaked emails and I don't talk to people or leaked messages from ex friends. I don't talk to people anymore because people do that shit to you. So I only talk to about a handful of people online. And even then, even then, I've had that. I actually had somebody buy my DMs from somebody one time. That was particularly weird. So, yeah. Tickled Turmoil Potato, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. Thank you for that too. Oh man, that's crazy. All right, today I wanted to cover something that I find the entire lawsuit with Rekieta Law. I find it fascinating because we're dealing with somebody that they've they've not only involved themselves, but their lawyer, interestingly enough, is playing a game that I kind of wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting Monograph's lawyer from the description. Again, I have no idea who the lawyer is. I've never, they're not online or anything, so I don't know anything like that about them. But I never expected them to file. This is actually an Alyssa Clips thing, so of course they put the logo in there. That is not mine. Just noting that that is not mine. But we have the locals catch up. Now, Rekieta Law talked about this too, and I think this is a fascinating discussion because this discussion talks about Monty and where he lives. It talks about him misrepresenting where he lives. Now, that's actually happened in the past, according to other folks. When you go back to 2019, we covered that. We covered that Mr. Medicare stream, and the Mr. Medicare stream. They were talking about where Monty said he lived, and he lived in a TJ Maxx. So, yeah, that's not exactly correct. So when you get down to that, I mean, we're talking about an issue that, depending, again, here's one of the problems with knowing something's right versus a judge agreeing. You have to have a judge agree with you that you're right on something or that they're wrong. So we'll see exactly what happens with that. But this kind of gives you an idea of what's there. Hey, what's up? Tickled Turmoil Potato, by the way. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships too. Oh man. Like I said, that's a lot. Thank you. For real. Thank you all. I appreciate it. And Mark, thank you for the 5. Can you name Norman? Can you name Norman for the first chat yesterday? you couldn't see the name of. So it's Rhea Norman. Yeah. There was a chat yesterday that I couldn't that was nice, being like, hey, I'm glad to have you back. There you are. So I couldn't read the name on it. I screenshot it and it was my bad. So thank you for that yesterday. Yes, I appreciate you there. There you are too, Rhea. Thank you for the additional 5. There is Nick having a go with Monty's melon in that picture. It's actually I saw some people talking about his jacket. What do you think about the jacket? You like it or you dislike it? I'm curious, just just there's some friendly. It looks like he stepped out of an 80s freaking music video. I expect a little electro synth in the background. Take on me. Oh, it's beautiful. The Han Solo project. That's awesome. I like it myself. I wear some like fucking hideous, um, Tommy Bahama freaking shirts sometimes. So I don't really get to say anything on it. It's a jacket, all right. Members only. I'm just that's funny. Maybe I'll pull up a poll. Let me see. Let me see if I can put up a poll on this real fast and then we'll start. Oh man. I want to know about that jacket. I want to know what people think about it. Give me 1 minute. I have to pull up the freaking chat on my computer. Set a poll on the let's see. Damn, the polling thing is not working today. What is up, man? I tell you, everything is like broken. Yeah, well, let me set a poll today. That sucks. Here we go. Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay, here we go. It wouldn't work at first. I couldn't get it to work. Here we go. I'm going to just ask, do you like Nick's jacket? It's going to be a yes or no. Very simple. Very simple. I want to get okay. So there's a poll in the chat. I want to see exactly how that goes. Fun times with that. I tell you. I do like that though. Like I said, I like it. I think it's very 80s, especially after somebody called it the Han Solo project. I think it's funny too. You like it, just not on Nick. It's very something. The verdict is in. Yeah. I watched the Murdoch verdict come in. I saw it come in. Again, he's guilty on both counts of murder. If people didn't see that or if they haven't kept up with it. And again, like I was saying, I personally, this is my opinion on the trial, I felt that Murdoch was guilty of many things, but the state did not prove that he was guilty of murder. I do not believe it. I think that was a farce. I think that decision was an absolute freaking farce. But, senior discount. I'm reading real quick. 2012. Thanks for the 2 there. Is Nick's jacket gay? 1 for yes, 2 for no. I think it's more like 80s, It is it is different though. I'd like to see it in real life. Maybe he should maybe he should sell that maybe he should sell that jacket for charity or something. He'd be like, yeah, you too can own this. Okay, anyway, let's get on this. I'll check the poll in a few minutes, by the way. All right, let's start.
Stop it, David. Stop lying. You lied to the court. Own it. Don't lie again. Montegraph's lawyer, how do I word this politely? His penis has inverted into his body in terror.
Oh, no.
Because Montegraph's lawyer lied about where Montegraph lived. He lied. There's no way around this. There is no...
By the way, I would like to thank Nick for getting several streams demonetized. Every time I cover Nick talking, my stream gets demonetized. I wonder why. I'm like, hey, YouTube, can you... They have to review every one of them, by the way. But I notice a lot of Nick ones don't get monetization. Oh crap. Yeah, what's up, the buzz? Thanks for doing Nick's jacket equals Vic's pants. That's very true, man. You put them together, oh man. I'm telling you, you'd be popular at the you'd be popular at the bar. Uh, hmm. I think it matches his ring though. Got that beautiful blue band. I've never liked I've never liked wearing one like that. No shade on that. I'm just saying. Like I don't know. I only like a particular kind of ring.
Fucking way around this. Montegraff's lawyer lied to the court. Period. Quote me on it, Schneider. Montegraff's lawyer and Montegraff.
You know he's going to quote him on that, by the way. You know absolutely 100% that his lawyer is going to quote him on that. Again, his lawyer has already filed a complaint against Nick's. It wasn't with the court. This is something. So somebody wrote me on this, and they seemed very confused by what was said by Rekieta too. They thought Rekieta was saying that there was a complaint filed with the courtroom. No. You know those complaints that Keffels launched? You remember Keffels, by the way? You remember all that stuff? This is funny. This is a little aside, but it goes right into that subject. You all remember Keffels and Nick Rekieta getting banned? His move toward Rumble. You remember all that fun times? Yeah, Keffels. So if you haven't kept up with this is kind of a funny story, and I think it's worth telling here. Keffels raised $100,000 plus to sue Kiwi Farms and to try to take Kiwi Farms down. Keffels afterward didn't move toward litigation at all. And in fact, the subject just kind of ghosted. I mean, Kiwi Farms got taken down temporarily. They lost a host, so they ended up having to make a few changes, but they've done that in the past. But they were still up and going. Keffels then got in trouble about the same community that they were fostering, the community that loves the buzzword, like ableist and anything. I mean, they like to what they do is they're a lynch mob, and this lynch mob just runs around canceling people. They just need an excuse to cancel them, and typically they do it from offense culture. That's typically what you see. Well, Keffels started saying a few things, trying to be edgy, dropping a few words that, well, let's just say that they don't go over a lot of times with just normies out there, but they definitely don't go over with that crowd. The difference in a person that isn't terminally online won't mass report a person for using a word they don't like. That's usually the way that goes. But that Keffels crowd, again, they tried to burn down Rekieta Law. Them and Duncan McLeod, that guy too. You remember the guy that helped start all of that attack on Rekieta Law? That Duncan McLeod account, the one that he had on his program, and that he live chatted and everything. He went over and he was like, hey, I'm going to donate money to you, even though I think you're an idiot and all this stuff. Yeah, even with that. So Keffels, for the Keffels part, Keffels actually is now, quote unquote, going to rehab. Why? Because they have a cocaine addiction. That's what they say. Now, some of that, I believe, is because of blowback they received for wanting to be an edgelord. You can't have it both ways with that crowd. And the other part that has been coming up is, here, let me pull this up. This was a statement on, let me pull this up really fast, because this is a statement from the 21st, right? And I think this has to do with the money. Just personally, I think, a lot of people, again, I have nothing against people that have addictions. I've been there, I've done that. I would be a hypocrite for saying anything negative on that. I would be an absolute hypocrite for saying that. What I do think, however, and this is the question, where'd that $100,000 go? Because Keffels, after having these problems, comes back and says, in the next few days, I'll be admitted to rehab. The doctor said it's because of drugs I'm addicted to. Without medical supervision, detoxing will kill me. I'll be off social media for 30 to 45 days while work on getting better. Now, this started right after, again, the controversy that they were having. And also after questions came up about where exactly is my $100,000? Where's that lawsuit against Kiwi Farms? Because Kiwi Farms is still operational. And it's been amazing to watch. Now, the other person that was part of that, the other person that tried to take down Rekieta Law, the Duncan McLeod account, it's been banned off of Twitter. So the people that started a mass flagging campaign, the ones that got so much attention, and really, they celebrated openly. I mean, openly celebrated the fact that they were taking him down. Yeah. So here's Duncan McLeod too. I think this is like I said, I think this is a needed update because most people we never get updates with this stuff. So that's the guy who was saying, let's see. He said, I remember when Rekieta Law asked me if I'd be happy if he got banned and lost his income. Now I know the answer is yes. I'm happy it happened. So they were openly platforming for him to lose everything. That was the idea with all of that. And yeah. What's up, Red Rooster? Thank you for the 5. What we can't see is the MC Hammer pants Nick is wearing. Oh no. I'd love to see him do the hammer dance, Hammer, please don't hurt him. Oh shit. Wolfkind, thanks for 3 months. Tug, well, shoot. It keeps losing its place here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Tug, I appreciate the way you piece together facts in a way that makes me consider different perspectives on things. Members only jacket. Indeed. Thank you for that too. I'm looking at this feedback, and then we'll move on. General Tugger, thanks for the 5 months. That's your back. Whoever's responsible for surfing me, I'll pay him back. Yeah, you got you a wrench. I don't know where that thing came from. Weird, huh? Renee too. Hey, there to you as well. And Kat, thanks for the 5 months. Thank you. I was wondering about this. Yeah, so I thought that was just a fascinating insight into the people that, again, they tried to take down Rekieta Law's ability to practice law, to have a channel, to have income, and they celebrated it openly. That's the problem with, going into. There's a fine line when we discuss things, okay? There's a fine line in discussion and openly advocating for the ruin of other people. Now, I will say, when somebody openly advocates for the ruin of myself, the gloves come off. I don't give a shit, I think turnabout's fair play. If they're trying to absolutely ruin you or take you down, you're not obligated to nicety. You're never obligated to nicety. And I don't necessarily believe you have to be the first one to punch, but I definitely believe that you counterpunch, always. And when you counterpunch, you counterpunch, and you counterpunch, and you counterpunch, and you just keep going because that's the way that it plays. But taking people down for language is crazy. Just again, you don't specifically. They were mad because you remember the Keffels debate was because Keffels was saying that they were giving hormone medication to underage kids without parental consent across state lines. That's what started that. And that has been a raging debate. And from there, Nick made a cartography, let's just say, comment, and it spun from there. I just find it fascinating that you went from what was October to now. So just in that short span of time, it is all reversed for the people that tried to do that. You have Rekieta Law. I mean, he's involved in this weirdo lawsuit. But outside of that, I mean, look, he's living his best life, Props to him too. I mean, he's got that like that clip at the beginning, when you're surfing in money. I imagine that's how the Rumbles contract looks. At least I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, I just find that funny. I find the turnaround for that funny. Hey, what's up, Nancy? Thanks for the 5 there. Just tune in. Is Nick dressed as Freddie Mercury? Oh my God. All right, let's play a little bit of this before I get laughing. I can't stop myself. Oh, it's too much. Give me 1 second. Thanks for the 5. Hey, Tug. When things get personal, it goes to all that's fair in love and war. That's true too. I mean, plenty of people will try to ruin you. Especially, it's so easy to do these days. It is so easy because there's no face-to-face. There's nothing. You don't have to do anything except hashtag and try to take people down. And it's amazing. It doesn't matter what you do. I've learned this. There is no such thing as non-controversial. There is no such thing. If you think you're like, you go on Twitter and you're like, oh man, I really like bread. Somebody would be like, how dare you discriminate against that sexy toast? It's like, what does that even mean? But that's life now. Everything is controversial. So it's when people handle that, that's why drama can be fun. It can be interesting sometimes, but it depends on where it's going, I suppose. But anyway, all right, let's do this.
Have misrepresented where Montegraph lives. And they only misrepresented it after the fact that it became important to know where he lived. Oh, he's in Colorado. He's lying about it. That's the best part. So all of the documents are available online.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pull the most recent affidavit.
That's correct too. You can go online. You can pull up any of these documents. They are all publicly available. Like this is like any other trial. This stuff is out there. You can pull it up at your leisure. So, you can actually search if you want to find like the link that goes to it. You can just search Montegraph's name that he's using, Steve Quest, as part of the lawsuit. It's Nick Rekieta or Rekieta Law versus Steve Quest, or Steve Quest versus whichever vice, reverse that. But you can find it. You can pull up any of these documents at your leisure if you want to keep up with the case too. 2012, thanks for the 2. Sound drums of war going after sexy toast, y'all. I know, man. Some people.
David from Montegraph's lawyer, where you can see his testicles sucking back up into his body, because he knows the problem with it is that he lied to the court, and that lie costs a ton of money. As to what happens, I don't know. We'll have to see. Isn't it perjury? Yes. Someone, either Montegraph's lawyer or Montegraph, perjured themselves, because not only, so in the original complaint and in the amended complaint, Montegraph's lawyer says Montegraph resides in Colorado. He resides in Colorado.
Mm.
Now they're saying now he lives in he resides in Illinois. It's not Colorado. It's not Colorado, because they're scared as fuck of that anti-slap motion. They're terrified of that.
That's exactly it. See, they know, like this would be considered a frivolous lawsuit in most places. I mean, there is the chance that it could make it past the anti-slap. There is, but anti-slap is pretty stringent. And you probably have if you have a good lawyer on this. Now, there have been case, like if you look at a case with or without anti-slap statutes, you'll know, again, it's a double-edged sword. So anti-slap, it can keep you from being able to take a case forward that is a case that should go forward. Again, the perfect example of that is Vic Mignogna. Vic Mignogna didn't even, when people are like, Vic Mignogna lost his case. No, Vic Mignogna didn't have a case. He never got to the courtroom. He never managed to face his accuser. So that is an issue with anti-slap. But on the other side of that, that manages to kill many a frivolous lawsuit. That's why, like in Tennessee here, we have very stringent. I mean, we have some of the most stringent anti-slap laws in the entire United States. So if somebody, they come after myself, and for me, again, I walk a fine line with stuff. Again, calling people a pedo, for example. There's only without a trial, there's only a few people I feel comfortable calling pedophiles. Again, I call the director Brian Singer. I call him a pedophile. I very much believe he's a pedophile. But yeah, I mean, when you get into that, there's certain even with somebody like this, okay, with like Montegraph, the statements that Rekieta made about items like that. Again, there was I was putting together an email to explain some of the. Okay, so if you haven't heard this, by the way, I mentioned this yesterday. Let me back up. So I posted, as part of this, an 8-minute video of Monograph making threats. He threatened Nick Rekieta. Rekieta Laws burnt that up a few times, right? Now, I'd never seen that video. I'd never seen Monograph making those threats. So I was curious about it. I ended up finding it. And I was like, yo, I found this. Here's Monograph. It's part of his case. It's part of his case there. So I posted it on Locals. What did Monograph do? He DMCA'd it, which is funny because what he's doing there, he's unintentionally saying, I own that. Yes, indeed. He's saying those threats, all of that stuff. He's verifying the fact that he owned that. So I think that's funny. But he's tried to scrub things like his threats, his history of that from the internet, because it doesn't work for his particular case. Dreadnought, thanks for the 5. I'm gonna feel ripped off if Nick doesn't bust out a perfect rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody while wearing that jacket. I see the little silhouette of a man. Oh my God. Getting really hammered in the middle of a freaking live stream. Get him doing that. That'll be really funny. Oh, the clip channels will have a fun day with that. Hey, what's up, Native Irish? Thank you for the 50 there. Thank you. It's the Umbrella Gold. Woo! Thank you for that too. But yeah, DMCA'd there. DMCA'd. Thank you, both of you too. I thought that was interesting. So, in discussing all of this case, looking back, piecing all of it together, plus, ghosting that offline doesn't keep it off anything. And, really the funny thing about that is, again, with this there's been an argument about copyright strikes or DMCA. If you put it online, it's there. Whether you want to erase it or not, it's there. And it goes even further when you get into, again, like Monograph, that video of threats, he seems completely unhinged in it. Like, he's not just making threats against Rekieta Law. He makes threats against the CEO of 2 companies, I believe. And he makes threats essentially against hundreds of people in that video. And I mean, it is very much threats. They're threats of violence. Come and find you in real life, go to your home, or or walk up behind you in the store. And if you're like, oh, what are you doing there? He's like, you say something and boom, he obviously, he seemed hammered and very, very angry. So, but yeah, anyway, anti-slap.
Now they say in paragraph 5, V in Roman, they say he has resided in multiple states in the U.S., including Colorado and Illinois. Now he's trying to say that he lives in Illinois currently. That's what he's trying to say now. But what they represented to the court is that he lives in Colorado, currently resides in.
Mm-hmm.
We file an anti-slap under Colorado law with the choice of law provisions that they know are terrifying. They know that. And then suddenly, oh, no, he actually lives in Illinois.
So you see that game there, and again, it depends on what a judge has to say about that. But misrepresenting where you live because you know that the laws in that place didn't have the forethought to say, well, the laws there, they might eat you up. And again, those anti-slab laws are very stringent laws in some states, and they will boot many of this useless stuff. And depending on the state you live in, like here, some states, if you read their anti-slap provisions, they're not so stringent about you paying back the court cost of somebody. Here, for example, I mean, they're pretty much yeah, you do that and you pay back court costs and everything. They map it out very, very crystal. What's up, 4C? Thanks for the 5 there. I'm just playing I Spy. The ceiling light shades match the curtains. Let's see. That's funny. I like that angle too. I like that, I like that angle. Man, look at those. Ooh. Look at that famous decor behind him too. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Too bad for one of them, because we got 2 options. We're proceeding under Colorado law, or I'm going to sanction somebody. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but that motion that was filed cost a fucking fortune. I don't know if Montegraph can pay, but you know who I think can pay for it? I think David Schneider can pay for it. And I think if David Schneider misrepresented the court where his client lives, I think he's got a problem. I think he's really terrified of that. And it's funny because my lawyer sent a nice letter.
Now that, yeah. See, Montegraph has said many times. I keep wondering about this lawsuit anyway. Montegraph has said many times he has no money. He has nothing. He's made that very clear over time. But he's moving forward with litigation anyhow. Now, like he's saying, with that motion there, if somebody did end up misrepresenting and they end up having to pay, well, if the lawyer actually misrepresented that, oh, that's not good at all, especially depending on how a judge, again, looks at it. You can be right legally and a judge not move in that direction. So we'll have to see there. What's up, Fallen Hero? Thanks for the 5. I just moved to my PC. The jacket looks better on a bigger screen. Yeah, I've got it on both. Actually, my phone, it's not as dainty and pretty. It's also not on my phone for some reason. His jacket is not it looks more wind resistant. There, there it looks like the wind would just blow right through it. It looks like it breathes very well though. You're like, oh man, I've got this air conditioning. It's pretty awesome.
To Monty's lawyer saying, hey, we'll handle this quietly. We don't have to, this doesn't have to go before the court. We can just work this out. Here's some options for you. And Montegraph's lawyer, what's he do? He tucks his dick up into his butthole.
Look, his name is Monstercraft. By the way, if you notice that, his name is Monstercraft.
And he runs to the court and says, no, I didn't lie. I didn't do it. They just misunderstood. I want everybody to remember the first thing I said when I mentioned Montegraph's counsel. The first thing, hey, I mean, I know this guy. He's a nice guy, professional.
Yeah.
I expect him to work professionally.
I remember that.
Yes, I was wrong on that. And if you think I'm going to sit idly by while some lawyer acts a fucking cunt on me, not a chance am I going to do that. I gave him every benefit of professionalism and professional courtesy. And every single step of this case, he's been acting like a complete disaster. So I'm 100% going to call.
I am curious about I don't know. What do you think about this? Do you think the actions of the lawyer, do you think it's because, some lawyers, lawyers are assholes most of the time anyway. Like you get this false image of a lot of lawyers because there's lawyers that you like on YouTube, and I like them too. But lawyers make their living being assholes, so maybe he's just an asshole. But on top of that, maybe, I don't know, some of the moves just seem kind of vindictive. I mean, it's interesting. And what's really weird about it is they're hanging on Rekieta. When you bring up a case or you bring up something, I mean, they're hanging on every single word. They're going over. Think about this. They're not just going to his main channel and watching. They're paying to get behind a paywall. Locals, these streams, they come from behind paywalls. Like you get a lot of them. And again, I encourage you to back Kettle. I mean, he's been out of pocketing this thing. So, but they're paying to get behind that paywall so they can find out everything, which is actually kind of funny. But they're hanging on every word. And it's not just trying to find ammunition. I get that. What it is, I mean, it's thin-skinned, man. I've been called everything under the sun. Every fucking thing under the damn sun. And I can't imagine, trying to cost someone their ability to practice law because they've called me a mean name. I mean, my God, if I if I did that, I would never get anything else done. You know what I mean? If I went after everyone, I mean, you make fun of them and you monetize them, obviously. But if you went after them and took it all personally, I don't see how you would ever get anything done in life at all. What's up, 2012? Thanks for the tune. Tug, just ask the lawyer instead of hypothetical. Well, when you look at, again, the anti-slap is pretty clear. It's pretty freaking clear, misrepresentation of where you are. Again, though, like I'm sure any lawyer would agree, ultimately you can be right in the law, but you can still have something go against you. I mean, again, ask Murdoch, they didn't prove their trial and yet, anyway.
Call him on it. Every time he does it, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to put it in a video. However long you've been following the channel, you know this about me. The one thing I hate about lawyers is when they act the way the public thinks that they act. When lawyers act like garbage, when lawyers act like shysters, when they act like trash, when they lie, when they're deceitful, and when they're nasty. That's the one thing I hate about lawyers the most. And what does he do?
That's not a stereotype, though, by the way. That is not a stereotype in any way, shape, or form. That's how most lawyers really are, And again, when you need a lawyer, you want somebody that'll pull anything. I want a lawyer that'll do anything to win. I don't want a lawyer to undermine my case and try. There's a vast difference there. A lawyer that'll do anything to win, yeah. But a lawyer that undermines and may potentially cost me my case, no, I don't want that.
Do straight out of the gate from jump. You know what else he says, by the way? You know what else? He put this in his affidavit. Montegraph is in Illinois hiding from my agents. That's right. My agents who are following him, going to his house, photographing him, and posting it on the internet. Monty has not been doxxed. I want to be very clear on that. As far as I have seen on the internet, Montegraph has never been doxxed. No one knows where this guy lives. I don't even know where he lives. They're flat out fucking lying. This is insane. So I'm going to put a call out.
Yeah, so that's another issue that has come up that would say to most people, again, a lawyer will take your money, even if you're absolutely crazy. You're out in the weeds. You'll find a lawyer that'll take your money. But when a lawyer's telling you, when you're filing in complaints that people are following you, taking video, and maybe that's just maybe that's a byproduct of the stuff that have you ever watched? Have you ever listened to Monty? Monty is he definitely believes some stuff that that would make me believe that, yeah, maybe he would be worried. I would be worried. Let's put it this way. If I put out statements like him where he talked about doxing judges, if I made a statement like that, I'd be worried people would be following me too. Because, well, that's not a good thing. That's not good at all. I'm curious if that will end up in the litigation. But yeah, Sal, thanks for the 10 there. I held the flashlight for my dad while he worked on things. Nothing in this world can offend me. Indeed. Here's what I told this before. So I have a very religious uncle, and he does not believe in profanity. Now, me, I profane like a sailor. Like if I were to stub my toe or bust my finger. So anyway, he was like, he was nailing up part of a shed. He was building a shed for a combine, and well, it's bigger than a shed, but you know what I mean. It was for storage and all kinds of other stuff. But he was nailing up something, and he slipped with his hammer, and he nailed his finger, and he was like, "Oh, that makes me want to say, I can't remember now. I think it was a naughty word. I think is what he said. It makes me want to say a naughty word or something like that." I was like, I would have had a conjunction. I would have just had a stream of profanity, and there might be one word in there that wasn't profanity. Yeah, he's like, "Ooh, that makes me want to say a naughty word." I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's awesome. That's awesome too. You got to respect that, man. You live it, you really live it." 2012. Thanks for that. I bet contingency case that why lawyer lied is my guess. He's going to have to pay up front. Not sacrifice my ability to practice for anyone. Yeah, that's true, man. That's definitely. I wonder. Yeah, with a contingency. I mean, so what did I mean? Does this person think they can really? I mean, what are they going to get from trying to take down Rekieta? Here's a serious question too, like a very serious question. Are they trying to build a reputation for somebody that will go after a Rekieta law? Because many people have gone after him. I mean, that's one thing. This has revealed something that he's discussed, that he's lacking anti-slap protections. So that could be a problem.
I'm going to do it on the next couple shows. And if any of you feel like this, if any of you know this or whatever, feel free. If you don't, please do not. Do not. If this is not true, if you don't know this, please do not. But I am looking for people who knew of Montegraph before I talked about him and who would be willing to sign an affidavit. So
I would. I would sign an affidavit in a heartbeat.
I'm gonna do that. If you are here and you knew of Montegraph, like I said, only if you 100% knew of Montegraph before I ever mentioned him or before you heard me mention him or anything like that.
I knew about him because he called me, and then he made a video ranting about me. So, yeah, my first dealings with Montegraph were him calling me on the fucking phone, being like, "Yo, you didn't talk to me," and then putting out a video in which he makes colorful statements like he's singing a doxing song and talking about doxing judges and talking about the consequences of not denouncing Rekieta law, in which he he not only says that about lawyers that he doesn't like, but he says that about anyone that's in the same shared space with Rekieta law. So Griff Katz, thanks for too. I knew of him and all of his info since 2017. Like, I haven't known about him that long. I've known about him for, again, I knew about him right before, but he addressed an entire video for myself, and I was, I got told about it. I watched it live. I was like, what the hell? And that was my first impression. And then from that, I went back and checked it out.
And you're willing to put that down in an affidavit, which means you'll have to like say who you are and the county where you live. Okay, you wouldn't have to give your actual address, but who you are, the county where you live, or whatever. If you're willing to do that, please email me. And you'd be an affidavit is signed under penalty of perjury. Okay, so and if we can get some of those. Some affidavits or whatever, I'd really appreciate it. The email address is rekietalaw@rekieta.org. Because here's the thing. One thing I have never done to anyone, and specifically never done to Montegraph, I have never in my life asked for a single person to go to anyone. In fact, what I almost always ask is that people never contact anyone I ever talk about, but they're trying to run to the court. They're like, oh, he's in hiding because of mean, evil Nick Rekieta. Mean, evil Nick Rekieta. Like, what did I ever do to any? Like, just laughed at you. That's it. That's all I've ever done to any. That's the worst thing I've done to anybody is laugh at them. Maybe say a rude comment or two. Or 50,000. Times a million. Okay, anyway, look, I'm rude on occasion. Montegraph is harassing, doxing, and stalking my followers. Is that true? By the way, if that's true, and you have an affidavit on it, please let me know. If anyone's willing to sign an affidavit on that, they've been doxed by Montegraph. And if you've already been doxed, please do. One of Montegraph's moderators emails several people I know every single day. Every single day. As far as Montegraph doxing, personally, I haven't seen it. But that doesn't mean I miss a lot of stuff. So if that's true and that's a real thing, then I would be very, very interested in what's going on with that. But right now, my target is not Montegraph. My target is David Schneider. I swear to God, that guy lied right to the court. See, here's the annoying part, guys. Do you know why I hired Randazza? Because, I could have done this. I could have done the whole thing by myself. It's a Minnesota defamation case. It's not crazy. I could represent myself. I know you shouldn't represent yourself, but lawyers do it a lot, honestly. And I could have done it. I could have saved myself, tens of thousands of dollars. I could have made money, literally made money on the lawsuit by just representing myself and going on streaming all the time. Cost me nothing. Type the documents on camera. Who cares, right? That would have been great. It would have been great content. Not even joking. But I said, That's a meme. Instead of that, I'm going to hire some of the best people in the country to do this and not do the meme and not be an asshole and not play around. And now I got this shit to deal with. So anyway, that's what you get for taking the high road sometimes, I guess.
So it's the choice between monetizing your enemy totally and making sure, winning. If you're confident you can win, I don't know. Like, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know about, representing yourself. If I represented myself, I would fall into the meme. You have a fool for a client, because obviously I'm not a lawyer, so that would not work for me at all. But with Rekieta, I mean, with a lawyer with that, I don't know how prevalent that is. I'm sure that a lot of people do that as a cost saving. Hey, I can just do this myself. It's cost saving, especially if you know the law. But yeah, I don't. As far as taking high road, you knew that they wouldn't take a high road. Again, that's not a criticism of any action either. I'm just saying, the players in this. They ain't gonna take no high road. They're gonna pull out. How do you know that? Because we've seen other litigation. I mean, we've seen it. It's there for everyone to view. So, I mean, it is expectation of high road now. I shouldn't have that for them.
I really didn't want this to be a circus. I didn't want it to be a fiasco. I just wanted to get rid of it. Like, it's fun to talk about other people's lawsuits, right? But I've said a million times on the show, no one wants to be in a lawsuit. It's stressful. It's nonsensical. It's a waste of your time. It's an emotion dump. It's a money pit. There's no good lawsuit.
That's why. Okay, people ask me all the time, why didn't you? Okay, when Nate the lawyer, and again, remember, Nate the lawyer has a freaking GoFundMe. It's setting at about $40K currently. Its goal is what, 150, I believe, with Chris Boozy. But people ask me, like, why not sue somebody like a Chris Boozy? Why? Because I would spend years going after somebody. I hate the courtroom, and I like to cover cases, but that, if you end up holding the bag in a lawsuit, like just any kind of lawsuit, if you bring it and you end up holding, you end up not having funding. Because again, lawsuits in the beginning, when people see it, they're like, yeah, lawsuit, baby, money, it's good to go. But after a while, I'm not saying everyone is like this, but just the internet in general, it has the attention span of a gnat. So beyond that, I mean, you're stuck with a high priced thing that you have to deal with. You also, depending on who you're going against, if they have money, they will bleed you with that. I mean, they will continue to bleed you financially, because that's part of litigation too. Now, in the monograph, in this lawsuit, I don't think that's an element, unless there's somebody else pumping money into that. But in other litigation, yeah. I mean, if you run up against somebody that can afford to fight, or they have somebody behind them that can afford to fight, you're going to have some real problems.
Exist. I mean, literally, when you think about this, think about what's in this lawsuit. I'm being sued for defamation, and they put in the lawsuit because I called him a retard appointed to me by the Americans with Disability Act Enforcement Division, run by the Department of Homeland Security. They put that in the lawsuit as if that were anything other than hilarious. Like, they put it in there. Like, It's an obvious frivolous lawsuit. It's obviously a slap. And this should be a lesson to everybody out there that, one, it's a lesson that I won't learn, I'm sure. But two, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter anything. The American legal system is set up so that someone can fuck with your life if they want to.
Yep.
Period. There's no...
Especially if you live somewhere that doesn't have fucking protections against it. Again, you know, it's fascinating what places have stringent anti-slap too. You know, I see people that say, "Oh, red states, right?" No, no. You have some blue states that are like, yes, some red states that are like, hell yes. You know, it's contingent on where you live. It's contingent on they have different reasons. You know, you may have a different reason presented for it. Like California is going to present a different argument than say a Tennessee. They're going to present it in a, you know, the lawmaker is going to present it in a different context. Perhaps not in the law format, but they're going to present it in a different context. But still, I mean, you know, just it's amazing that you depending on where you live, you may invite the chaos because people know that frivolous lawsuits, you don't have the protections legally. Even if you do have the protections, it's still an annoyance. It's still something that, I mean, you have to go in, you end up having to deal with, but I mean, it's a different thing. But anyway.
Threshold that you cross. There's no beyond the pale thing that you do. Someone can just do this. They could just do it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it. The only question is, how much at that point are you going to pay? Do I know anything about the judge over my case? I know a ton about the judge over my case. I'm not going to talk about it yet. I'm not going to say anything about this judge yet. I've practiced before this judge on multiple occasions. But I'm not commenting publicly on the judge unless there would be some reason to do so, which would be something in the future or whatever.
That's probably the best way to go forward. I would say let Monograph be the one who has commented on judges. Just personally. I mean, he's made his commentary on judges. Again, he's talked about doxing for judges. So
is that a threat? No, it's just there's a hypothetical future in which I talk about the judge. I don't know what that would be. I don't have anything particularly negative to say about the judge or anything. I don't know. I know the judge in the sense that I have practiced before this judge. Let me lay something out here. If people don't know, my lawyer contacted Monty's lawyer and said, your complaint, he said this nicer, I'm sure, your complaint is garbage. It's legally deficient. It is not able to sustain a cause of action, and we're going to oppose it. Would you like to take the opportunity to amend it to correct the deficiencies before we file our opposition? Remember, my response was due at the end of January. And we did not file at the end of January. That's because my lawyer contacted his lawyer and said, your complaint is legally deficient. And his lawyer said, yeah, we're going to amend that. So we'll go ahead and do that first. We'll amend the complaint and then you respond. He had the opportunity to correct this deficiency. Montegraph's lawyer chose to keep in there that Montegraph currently resides in Colorado. Now he's saying, well, I knew he was in Illinois, but I didn't know he planned to not go back to Colorado. Stop it, David. Stop lying. You lied to the court. Own it. Don't lie again. Don't lie. Don't lie to the court. Stop fucking lying. Try making our profession look not like assholes for 2 seconds. Only email me if 2 things are true. 1, You knew of Montegraph before I talked about him. And 2, are willing to sign a sworn affidavit under penalty of perjury about Montegraph. If both of those conditions are correct, please email me. A sworn affidavit will have you at least probably talking about the state that you live in, your real name. If you don't want to disclose your...
You talking about my mental state? What mental state do you currently reside in?
Real name. If you don't want to disclose the state you live in, please do not send me anything. I'm not looking for people to dox themselves. I'm not looking for any of that, because if you're willing to do these things, you will be filing an affidavit in a publicly accessible lawsuit. And I know some people do not want that information out there. I'm not asking anybody to do anything like that at all. Okay? Not on my agenda, not what I want to do. I'm looking to nail down a couple affidavits.
You saw the, again, if that applies to you, just to note, I thought this was a thing to bring up as well. If you for some reason, if you knew about Monty, if you want to put in a sworn affidavit, again, you think about it. Think about what you're doing before you do anything like that, because again, it is a legal document. Again, you got any questions about it, ask as well. Ask what that comes with. But yeah, I mean, again.
For this. So if people will do it, fantastic.
All right. Now I'm going to, give me 1 minute. I thought that was, like I said, I thought that was an interesting thing to go over. And I want to go over one other thing today. I did a video on this, but I actually want to go over this just, I guess, just a little bit more too, because there's a lawsuit going on right now that I find beyond fascinating. And it ties into, give me 1 second, I'm pulling this up. It ties into here, let me see. All right, here we go. It ties into Idaho. This is nuts. Okay, this is absolutely crazy. So I'm sure many of you heard about this. If not, though, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the original complaint is. And then, again, if you haven't watched the video today, make sure you do. Those videos don't get, I mean, they don't deal with celebrity or anything else, but this is a crazy situation. I think that this is the kind of thing that people should be aware of because of its potential to, I mean, this is destroying someone's life. So what you had was a TikTok psychic. Actually, let me pull up a video real quick, okay? I want to show you some of the things that this person put out. I want to actually give you an idea of what they were presenting to the world, because during the Idaho investigation, with the Idaho 4, you had a TikToker, a TikTok psychic decide to come out and they presented, here it is. They presented some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. So here, let me put this up here. This is another, I just want to give you, I'm not going to play their whole video. If you want to watch the video on this though, here, let me show you the channel. Because like I say, I think this is an important lawsuit in my opinion. So it's, I don't know a lot of channels there. ATOZY, if you want to look them up. TikTok Psychic. Again, this was the first portion of it. Let me lock on to this, okay? But I want to show you a couple of the clips that this TikTok Psychic put out accusing someone of murder. All right. Some of it is captured here. So check this out. Let me turn this down a little bit. Yes, good volume.
the University of Idaho students, let's just dispel the rumors. No, I do not know Rebecca Schofield. I'm not connected to her in any kind of way. I'm not emotionally tied to her or any of the victims. I'm not connected to anyone. I have no reason to lie on her. No, I did not just see her picture and name on the University of Idaho history page and then automatically feel it was her. This is not a feeling. This is knowledge. I have no feeling.
Knowledge from where?
I did a reading when I saw Rebecca Schofield on the history department's page on Rebecca Schofield and her connection. I also did readings on some of the other people and their connection to the University of Idaho.
Oh, man.
What came out on their reading is how they responded to the crimes and how they were feeling about it. What came out in Rebecca Schofield's reading was how she implemented it, how she planned it, and why.
This is not a feeling. This is knowledge.
Okay, so that TikTok psychic is accusing someone, a professor, of murder, of being part of a love triangle, essentially. And as you probably have heard, they got sued for it, which, yeah, they actually got a cease and desist. Again, TikTok psychics out there making dozens and dozens of videos saying some of the craziest stuff. I mean, just crazy stuff. And this person, again, this professor, they note things like, I wasn't in Moscow, Idaho when these murders occurred. She and her husband, they were visiting Portland, Oregon. They stayed at a hotel. They have receipts of that. The professor, they didn't participate in any way, shape, or form. They talk about their background. They never met the TikTok psychic, and so on. So they end up suing because, again, I mean, it's crazy stuff. Now, our TikTok psychic decides to respond to this in a way that I don't know if I'm surprised by this, but I thought, yeah, this isn't going to go the way that you think it's going to go. Why? Because they filed a counterclaim. Their counterclaim, they are suing the person suing them. Why? Because of false statements and because of reputational damage. I kid you not. I mean, it's unreal. This is fucking unreal. So, nature of the claim. I'm going to skip over some through. I'm not going to read this straight to you, but I just want you to catch this thing. So, here's your counterclaim. Again, your TikTok psychic is sued. And instead of trying to doing something, they double down and they're saying, yeah, I know you're guilty. You did it. That's what this says. So they say, set forth in this, they name everybody that was set up. They say that she, there was a false defamatory claim with the intent of obstructing justice for the murder of 4 University Idaho students. TikTok psychic, that's what I'm calling them every time. TikTok psychic was the only person aware of the professor's role in the murder of 4 University of Idaho students who spoke up about it. To stop the TikTok psychic from really telling the world, that's what she's telling the world about that and about the role of the professor in the murders, and to get away with it, she and her attorneys filed a frivolous, perjurious, and defamatory complaint against said TikTok psychic. The lawyer and the professor collectively executed a strategy to discredit, embarrass, humiliate, and assassinate TikTok psychic's character by disseminating false statements into the press that was disseminated worldwide into most major news outlets across America beginning late December 2022 and continuing into 2023. False statements include, they said, she did this because she's doing online promotion. TikTok psychic is. Also, says false statement. She knew that was false. She made that knowing that this was false. A false statement that had no basis to make factual claims in any event that occurred in Idaho. False statement regarding her involvement in the murders that were not based in substantial truth. False statement that TikTok psychic damaged the professor's reputation. So they say they had their reputation damaged, but accusing somebody of murder, saying that they were in a love triangle and all this, that's not reputational damage. I was like, are you kidding me? So they talk about, well, The other false statements, undermining law enforcement and also compounding tragedy. They say, look at all these different places that this was disseminated to. And of course, it was a big story. It was a very big story because, I mean, this is insane. It's insane. I mean, you have somebody that, again, they're telling you they have some intimate knowledge because, they did a reading, and the reading told them, again, about a love triangle and about a murder plot and conspiracy. It was crazy. This is the kind of shit that will get you sued because somebody's going to just rake you over the coals. Emma thinks Vibe is a psychic. Shouldn't she? No, she didn't win that. Yeah, you would think maybe the cards or whatever, they would tell her that maybe this is a stupid strategy. But then again, and again, I don't care that you believe whatever. If your faith or beliefs, whatever this falls into, if you believe whatever, I don't care. Like you believe whatever you want. The thing is that there's a fine line. You see people that associate with religion or associate with, I don't know what to fall under, mysticism, anything that are mentally ill. We've seen that with the Depp case, for example. There was a lady that apparently went to the FBI. I covered her early on because the story was so incredibly crazy. She said that Johnny Depp was a psychic vampire and was coming to her and attacking her in her dreams. I kid you not. Like that apparently she went to law enforcement. She went to the FBI about it, and they apparently they thought that she was crazy. They thought that she was really crazy. And yeah, that sounds like mental illness to me. That very much does sound like mental illness. Again, Johnny Depp, a psychic vampire coming and sucking out your energy and maybe your blood. I couldn't really follow some of it because it was just so out there in the weeds. But you see people like that. I mean, and you see it with all forms of faith. You have uplifted, inspired people that take something from the tenets of their faith and they use it in a positive direction. And then you see hateful people. I don't want to call them mentally ill. You just see people that are hateful, that will do stuff, that will misuse that, and on top of that, you see the mentally ill attracted to something. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've seen in a professional setting that have told me that they speak to God and God speaks back. And the stuff that they say, they're not talking about, again, if you feel like you have a relationship like that, that's your prerogative. But I'm talking about schizophrenics here, that are telling you that, yes, they have a direct channel to God. They hear him in their feelings. I mean, it's stuff that is mentally ill. It's sad. It's part of conditions. But with this, I didn't feel like that was mental illness. I don't want to use that. People talked about it. Maybe it is. Maybe it was just for the clout, because it got them a lot of attention, and it probably got them business for a hot minute. Well, maybe got them business. You never know, but it did get them attention. But they say, these frivolous lawsuits, this stuff, it resulted in over 20,000 negative comments across social media platforms, a massive amount of cyberbullying, death threats, harassment for the TikTok site, harassment for her family and friends by the way of messages from strangers seeking to have her son taken from her, to have her committed to a psychiatric facility, and to have her arrested. So again, the fact that a person can make these statements and say, look, this is what it led to with me, but not understand on the other side, you accusing somebody of being involved in a massive high profile where it is absolutely unreal. What's up, 4C? Thanks for the 5 there. TikTok are defaulted on the suit filed against her before submitting this rubbish pro say. She also clearly doesn't understand litigation privilege. She doesn't understand quite a bit about litigation. This is a fascinating filing, though. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So The misleading press release, frivolous claim, and false statement about TikTok psychic from lawyer and professor publicly published encourage further defamation against them. YouTube personality iNamber, who has over 933,000 subscribers, stated in a video he published titled TikTok's Worst Psychic Ruined the Life of an Innocent Woman, diagnosed her mental state as nutty and falsely accused her of ruining an innocent woman's, assuming professor's life and suggesting she lose her freedom of speech. Now, nutty is not a mental health diagnosis. When I say that you're crazy, I could be talking about your actions. That is not necessarily indicating a diagnosable state of mind. There's a big difference. So calling them nutty, saying, man, that's nuts, that's crazy. You're just talking about the absurdity to this and the absurdity to their actions. You're not saying, here's the thing, in realizing that 75% of people, again, I think more, honestly, are diagnosable. You have a diagnosis that will fit most of our population. That's because diagnoses are catch-all. They're boxes. And in order to, like, you come in and you say, man, I'm stressed out about something, you have to be diagnosed. Otherwise, insurance companies, they won't pay. So diagnoses are catch-all. So yes, you are diagnosable, but a word like nutty or crazy is not a diagnosis. So that's a bunch of garbage. I always hate that fucking argument. That's just, it's shorthand. It's just like, words. There's a certain R word, that used to be a mental health diagnosis, but it is not anymore. In fact, it is considered an offensive term that can be used toward people that are diagnosed with certain conditions. But these days, again, that isn't a diagnosis term anymore. It's an outmoded term, and it is used to mean, man, this person is stupid, and beyond. But anyway, I digress. So they go through other people discussing this. They discuss, they discuss the doctor, the PhD who discussed this case. I personally, one thing that I don't like some of the stuff that they say, because they look at a lot of things that go online from a mental health professional standpoint. And what I mean by that is not by somebody who is an outside observer. They look at items as if a person is their client. They commented on the Depp case, for example, and they talked about how you need to, when somebody's going out and accusing somebody, not when somebody's going in and saying, oh man, something terrible happened to me. They talked about showcasing empathy toward accusers, and they're not your client. When somebody's burning another person's life down, in this situation, people see this as a problem because this is a false accusation, but they can't loop that over to other type of false accusations. That is a social absurdity that people, I don't understand how they can't get by it, but they can see, like I said, the problem in this kind of stuff, but they can't see the problem in other types of potential false allegations. But anyway, I digress. So they talk about the different places that covered this, the discussion on that, why this is actually a problem there. And then they start getting, I'm going to go down to their factual allegations and then their arguments, because there's some funny stuff in here. There's actually some pretty funny suggestions in this. She doubles down, like I said, she doubles down repeatedly on the idea that she's right. And she makes statements like this: claims against her are in bad faith, lacking in fact, with the intent to harass, delay, or embarrass TikTok psychic. I mean, and it's like, no, no. The claim, it was filed with the intent to obstruct justice by preventing suspicion of the professor that they accused and to avoid criminal investigation in her role in the murders by discrediting TikTok psychic statement. So again, they doubled and tripled down throughout this throughout this documentation, telling you, yes, they did it. I mean, again, this is the dumbest thing that you could do. The dumbest way that you could go through it. So, professor and attorney publish false statements again. They go through that. They go through how that sets up. I'm skipping over some of the commentary through that, how it was disseminated worldwide, because again, they're going to make that same argument. They're going to talk about the different places that picked this up. And then they go into their claims for relief. Now, some of these I love. I think they're great. So the first claim for relief. They're going to mention this as defamation. All right. Press release statements, lawsuit alleging the TikTok psychic made false accusations regarding the professor and the murders, knowing that they are false. So you're saying, oh, it's the same argument we saw from Amber Heard. Well, I believed that's my truth. That's my truth. Because again, they're trying to make a legal point with this. So the attorney there said that she keeps making false statements knowing that they're false. The statement that they made, they're false, plain and simple. And what's even worse is that these untrue statements create safety issues for the professor and her family. That's true. That is very true. They're like, no. You know what? I didn't make these thinking that they're false. I didn't go into that. Defamation to a defendant's character in the news media is not a legal remedy for alleged defamation to a client. The attorney, with over 16 years of experience as a United States attorney, published the defamatory statements to news media about TikTok psychic with full knowledge that they were defamatory. Making public defamatory statements about a defendant and spreading false information on news media about a defendant is not attorney duty prescribed by law that is protected by immunity or absolute privilege. The attorney, they accused them of malice, made those statements with malice outside the setting of litigation with the sole purpose of defaming, harassing, and discrediting them nationally and internationally. It's like, are you kidding me? Again, they're trying to make a legal argument. It's just the stupidest argument here. Second claim. Again, defamation here, but they're saying this didn't undermine law enforcement efforts. Now, their argument here is a funny one because what they're saying is that they didn't undermine law enforcement. Why? Because law enforcement was asking the public for statements about what was transpiring. Here they say, November 22nd, the Moscow Police Department said the following. Tips. Detectives are looking for context to these events and people involved in these murders. Anyone who observed notable behavior, has video surveillance, etc., you can contact multiple ways. Her videos and statements regarding the murder of the 4 students and potential murderers were made after this statement. So, that's... You can spread false information, they're saying. It's like, no. Then they made another statement on the 7th saying, your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be a piece of the puzzle to help investigators solve these murders. She's saying, this was made, my statements that were made to provide information, helpful information. The Moscow Police Department further, another 20 days later, said investigators believe someone has information that adds context to what occurred on the night of the murders and continue requesting additional pictures, video, and social media statement after the lawsuit is filed. Law enforcement did not make statements to TikTok Psychic or otherwise that TikTok Psychic undermined their efforts. The videos and statements that they made regarding the murders of the 4 students was again to help law enforcement get answers to find murderers so they might be legally tried for their alleged crimes and to provide answers and potential relief to the public and victims' families. I mean, that's unreal. What an unreal argument. Then they get butthurt about statements from the lawyer saying, The lawyer's false defamatory statements about TikTok Psychic incited further news coverage, spreading the defamation, incited online rage and social media, further damaging the TikTok Psychic's character, incited the spread of false information that she was insane, has mental health issues, suffers from psychosis, schizophrenia, posting videos for clout, harming victims' families, is insane, causing harm to the professor and her family, and more. Many people, to include people who were following TikTok Psychic on social media, believe those statements without any thought or research into their truth or falsity. Right there. I mean, again, she's like, well, people, they just believe what they heard. Really? Really? You're gonna run with that? Yeah, like you feel like you should run with that? Because I caught a lot of those, and they were utterly insane. Oh my God. I mean, it's just unreal, their argument. Because when you look at it from their side, what they did there, it's like, yeah, you make a point against yourself very well. And what's up, Chrissy? Thanks for the 4 months. Finally, time to catch up. What's the subject of the night? Well, we covered some Rekieta stuff, and this is again, this ties to the Idaho 4. There was a TikTok psychic that came out. They made statements about a professor saying that they did a reading, and they made multiple videos, a lot of videos on this subject, saying that this professor was guilty of these crimes. Again, they said that there was a love triangle, just the most bizarre, nonsensical story that, they attributed motive where there was none. They went online. They found the picture of this professor. They took it from the school website. They put it in front of the world. And again, they accused them of something heinous. They got sued for this, and they are counterclaiming. They're trying to sue back, which it tells you plenty about their understanding of law, but just their argument, like focusing on their argument itself. That says plenty. What's up, by the way? Mystified. Appreciate those five gifted memberships. Thank you for that too. I appreciate that for sure. But the attorney here, defamatory statement about TikTok psychic said psychic stifled her work and performance, damaged her reputation, resulted in a loss of service and revenue. Prior to these allegations, TikTok Psychic was helping a mother get details regarding the rape and sexual harassment of a 6-year-old daughter by a close family member. Can you imagine? Like, so she's telling you that she was actually telling a mother that because of readings that she knew that a 6-year-old daughter was being molested by a close family member. So she was making statements that either she had been fed with that, she knew something with a case, or she's just coming up with this out of the blue. Like, that's nuts. She was helping a sister get details regarding unsolved murder. Again, that's preying on the vulnerable. I feel very comfortable in saying that. Fucking people that do that disgust me. They absolutely disgust me because it preys on your vulnerability. It preys on your desperation, where you want answers because you want closure. You want to understand something. And when you've exhausted all legal avenues, you turn to things that, again, things like this, things that just sad there. Chrissy, thanks for 5. I'm familiar with her. I thought she was running away to Bali. Well, she made this wonderful statement. Again, she filed it, and with filing, of course, you're gonna have a delay in uploading. And I think there was some coverage of this last week. I think Emily D. Baker went over this, if I'm not mistaken. But it's unreal, and people need to understand that there's a difference between talking about a case and being an active participant. Now, you can be dragged into a case, again, like you saw the claims that Heard, for example, made, bringing in multiple people, wanting to dox and more. You saw how that worked. Saying, oh man, these people, they're actively doing this, that, or the other. Yeah. The thing is, there were tons of legal documents, and you are allowed to draw inference from tons of legal documents. You can't just yank information out of the air. But you can. You can glean it from. That's why reviewing items, you can have your own opinion as long as it's an informed opinion. But yeah, there is a line, and these people, they just yank crap out of the air. So she was helping a woman to decide on the course of action to get justice for sexual assault in her past. Oh, man. Helping a daughter to get details on the murder of her father. Helping a wife perceive the ramifications of divorce or continuing marriage or more. So she's playing, marital counselor. Again, that irritates me. That irritates me quite a bit. After the defamatory allegations, she was unable to focus on serving others and received less inquiries due to damage to her reputation. So she's saying, oh man, when all of this, yeah, of course it's going to damage that, because people are going to see you for the fucking fraud that you are. If the truth was told, she would have been able to serve more people, to include helping to solve the murders of multiple people. She names multiple people here. So the attorney, defamatory allegations to the media about her, the undermining law enforcement, was made without evidence, with malice, and without regard to falsity or not. It was made for the publicity purposes to defame TikTok psychic's character, and so that the information she provided about the professor would not be taken seriously by the public. Again, doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. She's saying making public defamatory statements against a defendant and spreading false information on news media about a defendant is not an attorney duty prescribed by law that is protected by immunity or absolute privilege. So she's saying, she's not defended by that. But she says, of course, she is protected by making these claims. She includes this. She says, lawyer can't say that, but I can say whatever. Including defamatory statements made by attorneys outside of legal proceedings in immunity and absolute privilege would unreasonably shield attorneys from liability, and for defamatory statements that would otherwise be actionable if uttered by anyone other than an attorney. Allowing such actions would permit attorneys to defend their clients by any means without repercussion for illegal or punishable actions. The intent of attorney immunity is to protect attorneys from suit when they in good faith are performing duties on behalf or in defense of their clients. Yeah, that'd be a fun argument. So, oh man, this person, I swear. Hey, what's up? Tick Terminal Potato, thanks for the 2 months there. Hey, Tuck, don't really know what to say in these ever. LOL. Appreciate your streams. I'm glad you're here. Pineapple pizza. Yeah. If you guys don't know Donald DeLay, the guy, you should mention to him. He's a DONALDELAY. He's a comic professional. He's an independent guy now. You ask him about pineapple pizza, he'll go crazy. And Jid, thanks for the 2. Hey you back indeed. Thank you for being here, by the way. So count 3. This is the last one. Defamation. Why? Because they said, well, they were compounding the trauma that the families of the victims are experiencing and re-victimize the families of the slain students. Like, no. Oh, wait. There was a 4th. I don't know why. I thought there were 3. There were actually a few more. I covered 3 in the video. For some reason, I kept thinking there were 3. So if you look 3, again, you can understand the argument there. That this re-victimizes? Yes, it does indeed. Re-victimize. 4th, frivolous claim. Again, they've already made their frivolous claim argument. Now, I like this argument right here. This is a favorite of mine. According to control by the court purposes, the court should exercise reasonable control over the mode an order of examining witnesses and presenting evidence so as to make those procedures effective for determining the truth, avoid wasting time, and protect witnesses from harassment and undue embarrassment. Anyone who provides relevant information to the police and investigators are potential witnesses and should be protected from harassment and undue embarrassment in and out of court. The press and filing false claims is a violation because it prevents witnesses from providing information that could be helpful to investigators for fear of being sued and for fear of being nationally embarrassed or defamed. So she's like, I'm protected from all of this stuff because, man, I'm a witness. How the fuck are you a witness? How are you a witness? She says she no longer feels legally protected enough to use her knowledge to help with any more cases, to include the case of the murder of the 4 Idaho students, for fear of more harassment or frivolous claims against her. She says she goes into this too. I mean, she goes into infliction of emotional distress and loss of enjoyment of life. Seriously. Now listen to this. This is one of my favorite parts. She said the frivolous claim has encouraged mass harassment against her pursuant to Idaho statute. She goes to the statutes. She received harassing phone calls, emails, texts, messages, comments, and messages on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, her website, threats to inflict harm against her, signing her up for pornographic websites, expresses that she would off herself, maliciously misdiagnosing her. She's already gone through all of that. The desire to have her, or expressing the desire to have her arrested for allegations, and sending indecent videos of body parts that include male genitalia. So she's like, oh, people are harassing me. Again, what do you think happened to the professor that you made those allegations against? When you point a finger at somebody and you say, again, they're guilty of something terrible, what do you think you led to their doorstep? Brian, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. Also, Stacy D, thank you for the 5 there. Witness equals my tarot card showed me. Indeed. So she goes through again, suffering, grief, anxiety, shock, humiliation, loss of enjoyment in life. She makes the argument here. She's like, oh man, I'm terrified. I have to stay home. I have to isolate myself more than usual. I've been publicly humiliated. And because of that, this is what she wants. She, again, wants damages. Of course, she wants damages to be determined by a judge. On top of that, she wants either 1 press release or she wants 2. It doesn't really make that clear. She says mass press releases 2, and they have different purposes. So maybe it's 2. I'm not really sure. She's not really good at her argument here. But she says she wants that she approves. Again, you notice that here. She has to approve these statements. One of them is correcting false allegations against her, and the other one is for an apology. Yeah. Oh my God, man. What a world. What a clown world. Dreadnought, thanks for the 5 there. She must not be a very good fortune teller, or else she would have been able to see getting sued. Sure explains a lot. Yeah, also, I mean, if she was that determined, if she knew that she had all of these answers, she'd have been able to dig into this stuff. She'd have been able to say, yeah, I know where proof is. Here's the thing. When the spirits are speaking to you, ask them where the proof is. Ask them where the videotapes are. You know what I mean? When the cards are speaking to you. Yeah, you better make sure you're going to get your ass there. That should be a lesson to anyone out there. But these life lessons, man. Life comes at you fast. Some of these folks, they don't learn. All right. But anyway, I think that's been an interesting, I think this has been an interesting one to discuss here. It's, what a mess, though. What's my train of thoughts on in Ohio? Are you talking about the? Here's a statement about ecological disasters. If you want a statement on that, just period. I lived in Oklahoma one time. Right. This tells you how inept your government bodies are about protecting people. So there was a river that we got water from. That's where your water came from. Now, of course, I didn't use that water because it was gross. It was beyond. Ugh. It had it had an army base too close to it, or not a. It had a Air Force base rather close to it, and there's just so anyway. I got this letter. I've never seen any letter like this before. It said that there were tests done on the water to tell if the water was safe, and that it was well below safety standards. Now, the government's safety standards for water consumption are not very good anyway, but they sent out mass letters. I'd never seen one before that said, yeah, this is below safety. So I get a follow-up to that. I can't remember how much time passed, but I get a follow-up to that. And it comes with a map, by the way. It shows and it shows their testing sites. Okay. So it has they're telling you where they test. What they did, this is jacked up. They didn't go back and test at the same spot when they did follow-up. They moved upriver. You think about that. If you have something that is contaminating water, and you move up, so the stream's flowing down, whatever's contaminating is not going to, you can move past the contamination point, whatever's doing that, and get a better result, one where you don't have to do anything. So they tested at a higher point on that river, and they got a better one. And they were like, oh, well, we did follow-up tests, and this test's okay. I was like, wait a minute, you didn't do anything. You just found a place that, again, you thought would be a better, you essentially, it sounded like they found out the source of the contaminant. And the source of the contaminant, since it was something they either didn't want to fix or that would cause them some kind of issue, they just moved away from it far enough that they could get the results that they want. So, as far as governmental bodies, period, I mean, we've seen insanity from that. We see outmoded controls, outmoded safety controls, and that should be scary to you. How many, we in Tennessee have Oak Ridge. I mean, yeah, we don't need an actual Chernobyl in the States. We don't spend for upkeep. We don't enforce the rules that, again, we're just talking about primary enforcement of rules that keep us safe. We have laws and provisions against that. They can't even do that. So when you're talking about, some kind of, again, their idiocy creating an ecological disaster. Yeah. Yeah. You better believe they're capable of it. Now, again, I do not feel that I am informed enough on the entire statement to give you an overview and say, in that specific instance, X or Y happened. But I've seen enough stupid. I have seen stupid from, in Tennessee, we've seen mining sites, water contaminants, and how basically the state, they move away from it to make sure that they don't have to deal with it. We've seen that from industrialized farms where, we have test fields. Okay. So there's a highway close to me. And I've told this before, but I really want you to think about this. Okay, we had test fields when you would drive in, and they had the prettiest corn I've ever seen. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful. It was surreal. I mean, it was the nicest color, no insects or anything. And I was curious about it because of the way that they had it squared up. So I stopped there one day. I was talking to somebody that was over there, and they were telling me that they were test fields. They were testing different types of biologically enhanced food. Like, no shit. So part of the corn that they were testing again, I'm just saying this in layman term because I don't know particularly how they were doing this, but I do know the results of it. They had one that essentially contained, I'm going to call it a pesticide. It contained something in it that killed bugs. It killed insects. And it did indeed kill insects. If you looked on the ground around this field, there were tens of thousands of bugs just dead on the ground. It was creepy. I mean, anything that tried to eat this, as far as an insect is concerned, died. And I kept thinking, number one, if this ever makes it to market, how do you fix that issue? But also, what about cross-contamination of fields? I mean, in Tennessee, we have all time, even in the best contained environment. Again, this was open access, so you could run into any type of cross contamination where this gets out from everything from birds. I don't even know what that would do to a bird. I don't know if it killed birds and everything else. I didn't see any, but hey, you never know. But runoff water. We've seen that from. So there was a corporatized field at one time. There are corporate farms all over Tennessee, and there was a corporate farm that there was a lawsuit about this. This corporate farm was raising some kind of bioenhanced product. You could tell it was their product. I don't know how they tell, but they could tell it was their product. Well, during I can't remember if it was a particularly rainy year. What you had runoff though. It ran off into another individualized farm, and part of their product ended up on somebody else's property. That individual farmer got sued by this corporate farm because they had their type of bioenhanced corn there. And you know what? The state, they definitely, they sided with them on it. I remember it because I was like, what the hell? So you're telling me that, again, cross-contamination, that's a problem. That is a real problem. And that's, we've seen so many precautionary tales about this kind of stuff. I mean, whatever you say about the beer bug, that should be a cautionary tale. You have fiction, stuff like The Stand. That should be a very cautionary tale. And yet, we have these things. They're right out in the open here. And again, this frankenfood that we end up with, it's crazy. It's creepy. It's creepy stuff. We have nursery all over here too. And I always wonder about contamination of trees. And I mean, just so much unreal, weird stuff there. What's up, Gabriel? Thanks for the 5 there. Flint, Michigan. Yeah, indeed, Flint. They ran tap water for about 5 minutes before taking samples to test lead, making sure that most of the lead buildup would wash away first. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Regulatory bodies are, best case scenario, they're underfunded. Worst case scenario, they're corrupt as hell. Many of them are. So, again, that's just some random thing at the end of this. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to call it a day. 2 hours, good times. We did pretty good tonight, by the way. About 1,100 people, considering we were going against a big verdict today. That's actually pretty good. I was like, man, we're going to pull like 500 people tonight. So I appreciate you being here. Yeah. Again, that Murdoch trial. Anyway. All right. Well, I'll catch you maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Later.